Everyone, this is Mrs. J, and we're doing a read aloud of Blood on the River, Jamestown, 1607 by Lisa Carbone. And we're on chapter 24, page 193. Sleeping in his boat, accidentally, someone fired his powder bag, which tore the flesh from his body and thighs 9 or 10 inches square in a most pitiful manner. But to quench the tormenting fire frying him in his clothes, he leaped overboard into the deep river, where the air could recover him when he nearly drowned. William Simmons, E.D., The Proceedings. They say it was an accident, no one's fault. Captain Smith laid down in the boat to take a nap. He was still wearing his powder bag. While he slept, a spark must have lit the powder bag. A spark from someone's pipe or the slow match of someone's musket. The powder caught fire and exploded. It seared the flesh right off of his leg. In agony, Captain Smith leaped overboard to cool the burn. His leg was so badly burned and he was so weak that he nearly drowned before the men pulled him out. When Captain Smith comes back to us, he is crazed in pain, moaning in delirium. 3 men carry him into the fort. The flesh on his thigh is burned black and red, the skin hanging ragged and oozing. He is our fallen leader, and he has fallen all the way down. The doctor gives Captain Smith medicine to ease the terrible pain, and it makes him sleep most of the day. When he's awake, I bring him food and water. When the doctor changes his bandages, I give Captain Smith the handle of a wooden spoon to bite on so he can endure the pain. I'm surprised he's not bitten through the wood yet. It is awful to see him in so much agony. I wash his bandages, rinse out the blood and ooze, and hang them to dry. One of the soldiers tells me that before he was injured, Captain Smith was able to make peace with Parahunt, the werewants of a village that had been ransacked by our colonists. But, the soldier confides in me, the peace cannot last. There has been too much killing on both sides, and everyone is too angry. One day I bring Captain Smith a drink of water. As I help him to sit up, he goes pale and beads of sweat break out onto his face. I keep hold of a goblet in case he blacks out. They have cut off my hands and cut out my tongue, he says in a hoarse whisper. I shake my head. I don't know if he's fully awake or in a delirium. I want to tell him that he still has his hands and tongue, but sir, go get Richard, he says. I run down to the river where Richard is repairing fish nets. Richard, I call out, come quickly. He splashes through the water to meet me. I am panting, out of breath. What is it? Is it Captain Smith, he asks. No. He has not died. He is saying strange things. He asked for you. We both run up the riverbank to the fort. We enter the cabin quietly. Sir, we are both here, Richard and me, I say. Good, he says without opening his eyes. He takes a deep breath as if gathering his strength. They have taken away my power here, he says. I can no longer use my hands and my words to help the colony. There is nothing more I can do. I will return to England. His words hit me like a punch in the stomach. Return to England? Richard, he says, and Richard stands up straighter. You will accompany me to England. I saw how you cared for Reverend Hunt in his illness, and I know you will do the same for me. I will leave on the next departing ship. Samuel, he says. He opens his eyes and turns his head to look at me. You are one of the few original settlers left alive. I chose you for a reason. I knew how hard it would be here in the New World, and that only the toughest and strongest would survive. Reverend Hunt told me you were a fighter, full of anger and energy. I knew you would make a good settler, and you have. You will be fine here without me. You have your skills, building, farming, hunting, and you have your Algonquin language. You will stay because the colony needs you. I release you from your servitude. I am too stunned to speak. I feel as though I've been dropped from a great height and landed on my feet, but I don't know where I am. But I am your page, I say softly. Who will I be without a master? Captain Smith shakes his head and continues. To make sure no gentleman decides to grab you up as his servant, I have apprenticed you to John Layden. You will become a carpenter in your own right. I'm filled with both sadness and wonder. Reverend Hunt was right. I will not always be a servant. But Captain Smith and Richard both leaving me at the same time? It seems as if I finally have learned to be a friend, to open my heart and care. And now they will both be gone when the ship sails. I take a deep breath, shuddering breath. Yes, sir, I say. It's the only thing I can think of to say. In the weeks before the ship is ready to leave, it's time to bring the harvest, gather oysters, and bring hauls of fish and meat to smoke it so that it will last all winter. But without Captain Smith to lead us, the men shirk on their work, and the gentlemen seem to have but one purpose in life, to make sure Captain Smith goes back to England as a man accused of many wrongs, rather than as the hero who saved our colony from extinction. They spend their time gathered in meetings, making lists of accusations against him. They do not realize that Captain Smith's last act, making peace with Parahunt, has saved their skins for now. I feel as though there is a noose closing in around Jamestown, ready to strangle all of us here. Chief Powhatan is angry about the coronation fiasco. The new settlers have attacked Indian villages and make enemies where we used to have friends. We have too many settlers to feed, and yet hardly anyone is working to store food for the winter. And we are about to lose Captain Smith. I can see why Captain Smith wants to take Richard with him. Truly, only the strongest and toughest will survive what is coming. I wonder if I have what it takes. There is one bright spot in all of this. Anne Leyden will soon have her baby. She is very happy to have other women here now, including a midwife, and children to hold and admire as she waits for her own to arrive. It will be the first child born in our colony. Anne says if it's a girl, they will name her Virginia. I have learned something important from Reverend Hunt. When I lose someone, I should not close my heart to everyone, but I should find someone else to fill the empty place. Captain Smith and Richard will leave soon, but I will still have friends living nearby. Nementok, Kanta, and Pocahontas. And here in Jamestown, Anne Leyden and John Leyden are becoming like my new family. When their baby arrives, he or she will be like my new little brother or sister. Get the midwife, now, quickly. A large woman, barely done tying her apron strings, goes running into the cabin John and Anne Leyden share with two other families. The men are ushered out, and we begin the long wait. John Leyden paces, his face a mask of worry. She'll be all right, I tell him. But I know that birthing kills so many women and babies that John has reason to worry. The hours tick by. I go off to chop some wood, and then I come back and wait with John. We hear screams from the cabin, Anne crying out in the pain of childbirth. Finally, we hear the lusty wail of a newborn baby. John runs to the door of his cabin and pounds on it. Let me in, he demands. You wait, the midwife calls back to him, and then you get to see your baby girl. John Leyden laughs and cries at the same time. It's a girl, he exclaims. The baby is alive and it's a girl. Then his face darkens and he pounds the door again. And what of my wife, he shouts. Is she well? Yes, yes, she was brave and she is well, the midwife announces. John groans with relief. They're both alive, he says, almost incredulous. My wife and my baby girl. A few weeks later, I'm one of the first people Anne allows to hold baby Virginia. She is so tiny, so delicate. Her eyes move, looking at the ceiling above me, and she smiles sweetly as if she's seeing angels. Anne says she's just making faces because she has gas. I offer Virginia my finger. She grasps it and holds it tight. As I look at her, I feel sad. I feel the coming doom. How will she survive the hard times that will be upon us? Virginia blows bubbles and grasps my finger even tighter. You must hold on tightly to life, I whisper to her.